don't take up too much time thinking about yesterday and keep up with the pace of today. I think you did it perfectly correctly.
So what I used to do is they have very specifically mentioned this time around what are the topics.
So, hello and welcome, Sanjana, to the Ecoholics Toppers Talks. Congratulations for your success and a successful journey that has started in the RBI Grade B DEPR spectrum. How are you feeling?
Yes, ma'am, I'm feeling very good. It is definitely something which I worked hard for and was waiting for a positive result. So after getting the positive result, I feel both very, very happy and relieved right now.
Absolutely. I think for a person who has come out as victorious and successful, there's a lot to say, and there's a lot of hard work that goes behind the screen. So, we would like to know what were your initial phases? When did you start preparing for this examination?
Okay, so to be very specific, I did start preparation towards the end of January 2023 when I read more about it, this examination. At that point of time, the syllabus was not very clear, but I thought I would like to give it a shot based on whatever information was available out there in the domain. So it began from January 2023, and since then, I was dedicatedly preparing for this examination.
Right. So, Sanjana, if we break this journey down, because RBI has three phases, and when we talk about
Yes,
specifically the EPR, the syllabus and the pattern has recently changed. So,
yes,
what were your indications to how do you want to study for this examination? What were your preparation details?
okay, ma'am. So for the preparation details, for the during the very initial months, I did utilize the Indian Economic Service syllabus, not completely, but as a base for the broad topics and the broad subjects that might be asked, based on some of the past year papers that are also available for the DPR examination. And during the initial phase, I had also bought this course from Ecoholics, which at that time did provide me some kind of guidance on terms of the first phase for the MCQ examination. It was
Mhm.
only after there was complete notification in May 2023 that we had a proper syllabus in mind. So, based on that, the major part of my preparation can be broken down into the fact that I extensively utilized my readings from my undergrad. I have done my undergrad from DU, so their reading list, the micro, macro, and all the stats, they were really helpful. Apart from that, there are a number of online resources, out of which two eGyan Kosh and EPG Pathshala, they were very, very helpful, especially for topics that are not easily found in the books, which I
Mhm.
was not able to do in a time-bound fashion from the books. So these were very broadly my major sources of preparation, ma'am.
I think you have very nicely pointed out the variety of readings that you did. And it's very important for students to understand that it's not just one book, it's not your graduation or post graduation
Yes,
examination that you can concentrate only on one book or one piece of material.
yes,
There
ma'am.
are vivid materials outside and compiled and news articles and so many other things that a student should refer to. And you've pointed out it very nicely. Secondly, phase one and phase two both are very different in terms of the objectivity or the type of examination. One is completely MCQ based, so there's a lot of conceptual clarity required, and other is subjective, which requires answer writing. So, how did you prepare for both of these examinations or phases individually?
Okay, ma'am. So for phase one, specifically, how I did prepare for it, that since it is an MCQ examination, am I properly audible right
Yeah,
now?
yeah, yeah. Now it's properly
Okay.
audible.
Okay. So for the phase one, ma'am, since it is an MCQ examination, one thing that really helped me was my preparation of the UGC NET examination. There is a book whose name I'm not able to recall, but UGC NET is also a MCQ based paper only. So that gives you a lot of practice, not only in terms of variety of questions asked, but also helps to helps you in terms of your speed, especially because they have more questions to do in a limited period of time. So
Mhm.
that was my most extensive base for preparation. Obviously, Ecoholics also had a lot of MCQ type exams. I had purchased only the test series, but there were around 30 phase one type tests. So they were also helpful in terms of this practice. And obviously, since the syllabus for phase one and phase two is similar, you have to follow those similar readings only. Given it's just that in MCQ type examination, what matters is your clarity and speed, since you have to do those questions.
Mhm.
I will list the sources, but before, in phase two, because otherwise it kind
Absolutely.
of gets repetitive. Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Apart from that, in the phase one examination, we also have the English tests. So for
Mm.
English, I did not do it very separately. Coming for phase two examination, this time around, since they have introduced two papers with proper syllabus, so what I used to do is they have very specifically mentioned this time around what are the topics. For example, for macroeconomics, there is very specifically they have written Taylor's rule. So
Mm.
my approach for this phase was more reliant on the online resources, which I previously mentioned. Like for Taylor's rule, I simply used to Google Taylor's rule e-Gyan Kosh or EPG Pathshala. Very honestly, there is very good material out there which you can do. This was my approach because I was simultaneously also doing a job. So going through end
Mm.
to end, cover to cover through each book was not possible. It
Mm.
also helped and if I have to be specific about Indian economy, that is something which I found a little bit difficult to cover initially. But going through again and again through summaries of the economic survey and this year's budget was really helpful, especially because it gives you a knack in terms of even if you are not exactly aware of the question, listing those facts and figures can actually make your answer stand out because they did have a question on COVID-19 also. So if I
Mm.
did know the schemes from the past, I could elaborate on that. Ecoholics, I had these mock tests that I gave, and since
Mhm.
they were evaluated, that helped me in improving my how to present the answer, and also the fact that I have to attempt all the five questions within 2 hours only.
Mm.
So practice plus online resources was my main.
Mhm.
They have a lot of material which can be easily reproduced for a 20 marker.
Correct.
So that's how approach these two phases.
Mhm. You mentioned in your words that you were practicing for or you're studying for this examination along with a specific job. So most of the students who are from already from a job profile who are not probably new to the banking sector, but they are not exactly into the periphery of RBI. So they find it very difficult to capture this idea that along with a job, you can also prepare or you can also study for this examination. Obviously, it's not a very easy to do examination, but it takes a lot of courage and conviction. So, how would you narrate your end of the story? How did you manage both job and studying?
Okay, so for a little background first, that I'm currently working with Accenture as a data science analyst. So to how to schedule it out, so the objective was that I had to take out somehow those 2 hours before 11 in the morning,
Mhm.
majorly for covering new things, which was helpful in my case because it is easier to grasp at that point of time. And when once I was done with my office work, in evening I tried to give in more time to study as much as I could gather courage to do at that time based on how exhausted I was. And once I was at a comfortable level in terms of that, I had covered a good amount of syllabus. The latter part in the evening, I used to attend the mock tests because that was really important. Just reading would not help, retaining would not help if you are not writing answers and getting some opinion in terms of as simple as that you should give out headings and underline the important points to write tests. Weekends, I tried to utilize as much as I could because that was the time where I did not have to work in the office for that 8 to 9 hours on a daily basis. So tried to cover maximum syllabus on weekends. And eventually then whenever mock tests came as per my convenience, I tried to attend them honestly and continuously trying to improve in terms of whatever comments I got in the evaluated answer scripts, ma'am. So this is how I tried to manage. And
Mhm.
yes, it was difficult and overwhelming at times because uh, after 8 to 9 hours of office, you are eventually clocking in 15 hours of work.
Correct. Uh, I think as a working professional, you already have been a part of a structure, a formal structure where you have to work along with that. There are other things in life that you also need to do. So I am sure that there has been a time and space valuation which had come handy for the preparation of this exam too. However, disciplining yourself and making sure that every weekend you give the test and you write the test and you take down the evaluation and you self evaluate and you grow and you keep on doing that takes a lot of patience. So how did you what was your driving force to be disciplined for this examination or in life in general as well?
So for the motivation, what I kept reminding myself that first was, since I have now started, so let's complete it. Let's not leave it in between. And the second thing which I would say, many might not resonate with it, but I used to think that life is going to be way better if I am able. I don't know whether it would be better, but I did create in my mind that it would be really way better than what it is right now. So that kept me motivated. On a side note, there were days when I had to write a mock on Saturday, but I was not able to write it during the day, but somehow dragged it, wrote it in the night, scored low on those mocks, but did not let that demotivate me because I did understand that at the end of the day, I'm also a human being and I might be exhausted. But what was important was that this should not be repeated frequently. I
Mhm.
understand that some weekends can be difficult for you because, but consistency is important. You have to keep writing, and you do not have to judge yourself on the basis of the outcome of a single test only. So
Mhm.
that really helped me, and the idea that life is going to turn around if I make through it was something that kept me driven towards this school.
Correct, correct. As much it's said that don't take up too much time thinking about yesterday and keep up with the pace of today. I think you did it perfectly correctly, and with that goal in mind, success is always the outcome. So I again congratulate you on not just your hard work, but the exhaustion and the hard sweat that you have given for this examination. And of course, you have become victorious. I think that's a pat on your back moment for you. I'm sure that your family members and elders would be really resonating with the happiness. And that reminds me that the strength that you drive or the energy that you drive is also from your mentors, your consistent, your partner, your elders, your parents. So how was that like? How was that energy resonating in your household, in your surroundings?
Yeah, during the preparation phase, if I have to talk about, definitely my friends and my family, they were the real source of my strength. My family made sure that I had no other thing to do apart from my office job and studying, because there are a lot of responsibilities, but my parents ensured that I was not worried about them. So that created a stress free situation for me where I was able to prepare without any kind of tension or stress in my mind. Then
Mhm.
there were my friends that helped. There was one of my friend who helped me extensively throughout my preparation, not just in terms of where we used to discuss our doubts, or in eventually in the interview preparation phase where we tried to uh, arrange mocks, or conduct themselves, that really helps. And the fact that the only things, if someone tells you that you can do it, then sometimes you are able to do it, even if you do not believe in yourself initially. But the fact that your family and your friends are backing you at every point in time, stating that no matter what happens, we are behind you, that
Mhm.
also motivates you. So the environment, all in all, was very positive for my preparation. So I would say, yeah, I derived my strength from my people.
That's a delight. And the reason I asked you this question is because many students and their parents and peers who would watch this session, this conversation, would definitely understand how important it is to be the strength of the person who really wants to achieve a certain goal. So the atmosphere with no obstruction, no chaos, only focus makes things much better. So I'm glad that you had that family and friends resonating with the same energy. Concludingly, I would like to know how was Ecoholics helpful in your journey for phase one, phase two, and mocks and throughout, and how could we, contribute a bit, whatever it would take to make you reach the goal.
Yeah, I would like to thank Ecoholics, because definitely one thing that helped me was that the mocks were evaluated. So they that did help me not only in improving my answer writing, but also the fact that since I was writing, there was someone checking also. So it this is where it reflects how you are progressing. So in that terms, it was important. And there were a lot of papers to attempt, not just
Mhm.
for phase one, but for phase two also. So that was helpful. Apart from that, for interview, I remember there was a single mock, but it was good in terms of that they did it did help me in giving direction, because I was being provided with the proper feedback on what points were being liked and where I could improve. So the main help that I think was that for a person like me, it is not just about giving five tests, it is more about giving test after test after test. So in that terms, there was a lot of quantity in terms of the tests that I could attempt. As I also mentioned, for phase one alone, I guess there were 30
Yeah.
mocks. And for phase two also, there were ample number of mock tests, which did help me, if not directly in terms of question, but definitely in terms of increasing my writing speed.
Mhm.
So that was good. And obviously, since you have to write it on a regular basis, that creates a habit which would help you in an exam type setting also. So that was really helpful.
I'm glad that we could bask in the glory of your success and we could contribute a bit. And I'm really, really glad that you could make it to the policy making, decision making spectrum. Now that you are into that spectrum, I'm sure that you will make everyone proud with your contribution to the policy making framework. I wish you all the very best for all your future endeavors. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.